All right. For our last session of the day, we have Ryan Hasty, who is the owner and president of RH Solutions. He'll be talking about the need for better client communication. I absolutely agree with him. Ryan?
I don't have PowerPoint, so I'm just going to talk to you guys. I appreciate the invitation to come here, though, be with you. I was telling a few of the familiar faces in here that you guys seem like you're a lot smarter than I am, using acronyms and things that I've never heard of before. But the last couple that I've sat through have been very instructive. A little bit about me. My name's Ryan Hasty. I graduated from the University of South Carolina, so I'm a Gamecock fan. I'm rooting for Auburn as well, just not when they're playing Gamecocks. But I have a degree in electrical engineering. I did that for about 10 years, working for the government and other private sectors. And after about 10 years of electrical engineering, I decided I wanted to try to give the software sector a little bit of a whirl. And I've been doing that for the last 10 or 11 years. One of the things that I have been able to do the last 10 or so years is been able to go into different clients, mainly in the manufacturing and industrial sector. And we'll talk to them about some of their requirements planning, resource planning needs. So I do a lot of homebrewed MRP systems, homebrewed ERP systems, and things of that nature. And if all I did all day was punch code out like a ninja, I wouldn't have much success, because one of the things that I found that a lot of clients really appreciate, even more than just a hard code programmer, is somebody that knows how to communicate and collaborate with the client. And so that's what Seth knew about me. That's why he asked me to kind of come in here. I will tell you that I'm not an extrovert by nature. I am an introvert, which is probably the case with most software developers, correct? But because of what I do, it requires me to sort of come out of the closet a little bit and try to be something that I don't feel like naturally that I am. And so, if anything, that ought to tell you that we don't have to be closeted as far as communication skills are concerned. We can learn to develop that talent and that aspect about ourselves, because I tell you, I found that customers really appreciate that a lot more these days than they do somebody that can just sort of plug out code here and there. The last three clients that I have picked up here in Alabama, the whole reason that door opened for me was because the last guy that was there before me was an awesome programmer, an awesome developer. In fact, when I went and looked at his code after I got there, I'm like, hey, this guy was a lot more than me. Wanted to get rid of him. The reason they got rid of the guy was because they didn't want to talk to him. All he was doing was sitting at his desk, and he was programming with his headphones on. He was just absorbed in it and watching you and doing it.
Oh, and it's green. Look at it.
And in the manufacturing sector, the industrial sector in which I work, a lot of these guys are out on the floor that have been doing the same old thing for years and years. To use more computerized things.
Alternative to face-to-face learning.
You've got to collaborate with them.
That's what I wrote down, okay?
Technically, but by valuing them and increasing their morale and getting them involved with what you're trying to do to them, I found that clients actually are starting to value that about what we do a little bit more than just our programming skills. And so that's a little bit about what I want to talk to you about today. The benefit, are there practical benefits for improving our communication skills? I think it's easy to see the positive impact of learning more programming skills, but it's not always easy to quantify the effect of learning interpersonal skills and learning how to be better communicators. I am a strong believer that every software developer needs to learn how to interact with computers. The reason is that our primary interaction is not just going to be between a person and a machine, because there's always a person behind the need, always a person behind the software need. Other developers that might be on our team have noteworthy ideas that need to be project managers are interested in getting quality products on time and on budget. They're looking for developers with whom they can collaborate with regarding the company's strategic goals. Clients and users, which are the people that I work with most of what I do, they have their own needs. The clients, I found that my clients could care less whether I design my database schema in second or third normal. They don't care about that. All they care about is what's it going to be looking like on the other end. They want to talk about what their needs are at a much higher and a much more practical level. And users, especially those with who I work with in my industry, they not only want, but they need a software application that's intuitive, easy to navigate, that's bug-free, and that they can get in on, because again, a lot of the guys that I work with, blue-collar workers, they're used to doing the same thing over and over again. They've been doing it the same way for 20 years, and I have to come in there, and I have to chew the fat with them, and I have to get them bought in to what we're trying to do for them. And they're not going to get bought into it if I come in there with an ego. If I come in there and say, listen, I'm going to make you do your job a whole lot better, how are they going to take it? Doesn't work. What you have to learn how to do is chew the fat with them, get to know them, and try to give them some optimism about what you're trying to do and how it's not just going to benefit the company, but it's going to benefit them as well. We need to make their opinion feel valid. So here's the point. You may have ingenious ideas about software development, things that you know that you can do and that you can improve for your company, but good ideas alone are never enough. You need to be able to communicate these ideas in a way that will help other people to see your viewpoint in a practical way, and in the process, it's going to inspire them and it's going to empower them. Now, here's the irony of this, and I was thinking a lot about this as I was trying to prepare for this, and I hate that Seth only gave me 20 minutes for this, because I could talk about this stuff all day long. But here's the irony of it. The technology upon which we have become so reliant on, isn't it the very thing that is impeding our ability to communicate? Have you thought about that before? I mean, that's absolutely true. I was having lunch with a friend of mine last week, Timothy Jones. Some of you might know him. He works here in IT as well. And I didn't grow up watching Star Trek, but he told me, when I was telling him about what I was going to talk about here today, he told me about this episode of Star Trek Generations. I think it was like season 5. I don't know. It was called The Game. And basically what happened in this episode is apparently they went down on this planet, and was it Riker? Is that the guy's name? I can't remember. Like I said, I didn't know about Star Trek. But he brought up this game, and he started introducing it to all the people, and there was something in this game that was like hitting all the pleasure sectors of the brain or something like that. It was basically making the entire Enterprise look like a bunch of zombies. And so they were all walking around with this headset on, just addicted to this game, just completely oblivious to their surroundings. And as he was telling me about that, I was like, man, that sounds like when I'm walking around Auburn's campus, you know, when everybody's on lunch, right? I mean, isn't that what we see? I mean, we're addicted to our phones, right? We're addicted to social media. I have a friend that's on Snapchat, and every now and then I'll go and look at the stories. And they'll go to like this Caribbean island, and I'm not kidding, like every 30 minutes they're posting a new story on Snapchat with the ocean or something like that. I'm thinking, man, this guy's like missing like where he's at. It's like it's completely going by him. That he's in this like really beautiful place, completely disconnected from the world, and he can't put his phone down. He's on Snapchat every 30 minutes, and it kind of drives me crazy. So you see the irony of this? The very technology that we depend on is what is sucking away all of our communication skills and keeping us from being able to talk to people in ways that we need to be doing. Technology is easy and it's fun, but there are some difficulties involved in people-to-people communication as well that sort of makes us want to become more and more addicted to technology, right? I mean, in person-to-person communication, what often gets introduced? I'm talking about between two people. What it gets introduced is our agendas, whether political or sexual, emotional reactions, baggage, stress, overthinking, underthinking, ignorance, deceit, rash judgments, and assumptions. And here's the thing about computers. Computers know nothing about that, right? I mean, computers either engage in accurate communication or they don't engage in any communication at all. And they do this by restricting their world to a very limited set of rigid, instructions, right? I mean, I've never been typing on a computer really fast, and a computer come back and you say, why are you typing so fast on me? Why do you have caps lock on? I've never had a computer come back and say that to me. But you ever had people, because of the tone of your voice, say something about it, and it makes it so much more difficult to talk to people. But the thing about computers is they are supremely reliable, and they don't give you all that headache. But dealing with most people is quite the opposite. There are a plethora of possibilities and unlimited ambiguity. And that's why it's easy to become addicted to the technology. And knowing this, what a lot of us, I think, have found is that it's a lot less threatening to just text somebody or send them a message over social media than it is looking them in the eye, listening to what they have to say, learning how to shake their hand, and learning to interact with them face to face. And of course, if you're already shy and introverted, which I would probably say most programmers are, technology will just suck away whatever social skills you already have, take away valuable opportunities to practice in-person interactions, which is exactly what we need, not just to have success, but to be successful. Okay. So with that in mind, are there some things that we can do? There's probably 100 things that we can do to get better about this, but I've got 5. I'm just going to talk about 5, and then I'm going to leave enough time, hopefully, to have some good Q&A, because I don't think what I'm going to suggest to you is, a limited set of key rules. I think there's a lot of ways that we can benefit from the mutual wisdom from one another. So I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about this subject. But let me get through these 5, and then I'll open the door for some questions. The first thing that I think is very important in our communication is to be deliberate. Be deliberate in our communication. Now, the reason for this is simple. Programming language and knowledge is very easy to obtain. All you have to do is go out on YouTube, and you can find probably a demo for anything that you might be struggling with trying to learn. You can do that. But the ability to communicate, and in doing so to relate to people, is something, if you're going to improve on, you're going to have to be very deliberate in doing so. And this process is going to require a lot more self-sacrifice, and potentially for some of us, it might actually require a personality overhaul. But you can do it. And that's what it takes. You have to be deliberate in learning how to be a better communicator. The second thing I will suggest to you as well, and this may seem counterintuitive, but trust me, I don't believe it is we need to learn to be better listeners. One of the most frustrating feelings, I think we'd all admit, is when somebody does not listen to you, right? I mean, when you're talking and you feel like you have a good idea and that person is not listening to you, you feel undervalued, you feel underappreciated, and let's be honest, it can really destroy our morale, right? I remember when I was doing some work at a steel mill up in Decatur a few years ago, I was training some software developers. And I had this guy who sometimes would come into my cubicle and he would want to rap, and it wasn't about anything technology-wise. He was just always in a bad mood. He was just always having a bad day, and he always had a problem. And most of the time it wasn't about technology. Most of the time it had to do with, one of the steel guys on the floor who didn't treat him right, or maybe said something ugly to him. He was just a really sensitive guy. And it got to be such a problem that I finally had to say, listen, don't bring me a problem unless you also bring me the solution. Because I was trying to deter that. Now, interestingly, I tried that tactic out on my wife about a week later when she was talking to me about some of her issues, and I said, honey, don't bring me a problem without a solution. I probably did. I can't remember, but yeah, that probably is what happened. that trick doesn't work with wives. Oftentimes it doesn't work with children. Sometimes it can work with people we work with, and I think if somebody's, getting a little bit out of hand and really taking advantage of your time when they could be doing better things, I think there's a time and place to actually say something like that. But what I found is sometimes people just need to vent every now and then. If they're doing it every day, have the talk with them. If they need to do it every now and then, one of the things that will actually improve their morale is if you just sit and just listen to what they have to say. Shake your head, say, oh yeah, that sounds bad. That must and resist the urge to interrupt them. Resist the urge to insert something. Wait for them to get done talking, and that may be a long time. And then if there is something worthwhile that you can say that can encourage them, that can increase their morale so they will get back to work and stop dwelling on whatever it is that they're worried about, then that might actually lead to better communication, because what you've done in turn is you've given somebody more value, you've appreciated them, you lifted their morale, and so what do you think they're going to do in return to you when you're the one talking to them? That certainly is the case when group dynamics come into play. It can be difficult to, I think, resist the temptation when you are in group meetings with people and everybody is sort of butting in and throwing out their idea, and you're kind of sitting there quite like, well, I'm butting in and throw out my idea too, that I'm going to be, left, kind of out to dry here. But actually, what I found happens is if you be quiet and let everybody have their say, whenever a natural pause comes into those group dynamic situations, and you have something worthwhile to say it then, because what will inevitably happen is you're going to come across as a careful thinker. And what you say is going to be looked at as valuable. People are going to appreciate it. They're going to listen to you, and which in turn you can now communicate to them. And therefore, they're going to listen to you. So there is sort of a symbiotic circle that exists when we learn to be good listeners. It will also help us to be good communicators. Third, and here's an interesting thing.
What do you mean?
You didn't answer.
Somebody else can answer.
I have no idea what you just said, by the way.
I know. I feel insecure sitting back here listening.
Yeah. Everybody has insecurities.
All right, now,
But at the same time, a lot of programmers also struggle with ego and from time to time as well. And I think when you have both of those kind of going on, it can be hard to listen to feedback. And oftentimes when it comes, the instinct is to put apart the
Even up there, yes.
So it is a paradox, but being open to constructive criticism, I firmly believe is going to be proportional to our development as good communicators. I mean, even if your first instinct when you're hearing feedback is, this is bad criticism, this is bad feedback, I don't want to listen to that. Even if that's your first instinct, use it as an opportunity to do some self-examination, because we can learn things even from our harshest critics. Do some self-examination about our own development skills. And if you think your code is perfect, obviously it's not. There's no such thing as perfect code. Take the advice on board, consider it carefully, and if you still don't agree, then use that as an opportunity to discuss it with the person who's bringing you feedback. Pull requests are a great example of where things can really get messy, right? I mean,
Just a comment, Zoom is fantastic to get outside the firewall and help people while they're at home. Even
a pull request to me, it's a bizarrely exposing thing to me. I always kind of compared it to like if I'm in my house in my underwear and like 10 people come in my house and I'm just kind of sitting there like just all exposed and open to everybody. That would be a very uncomfortable situation. That's how I feel when I've got 10 people looking at my code. Because I'm thinking, oh man, they're going to see everything. They're going to see all the things I don't want them to see. And so that could be a very bizarrely kind of exposing thing, but knee-jerk to negative feedback make for a hostile environment, which can be particularly damaging, I think, especially for junior developers who might have.
See, I make people come to my office. I don't even care.
I can say this from experience. Try and understand the other person's viewpoint that is actually providing feedback. I have personally been in a couple very embarrassing situations where I've argued something because I felt so strongly that I was right in this situation, only to find out later on, oh no, I was wrong. There I was arguing so passionately about this, and this guy was actually right, and I just came out looking like a bitch. And so even when you think the criticism is wrong, even though you might think it's harsh, consider it, be humble, think, I could be wrong. This could be the better way, and that's going to help us to be a better communicator, because it's going to make people feel like that they can come to us, that they can talk to us, and in turn, we're going to be able to have some good practice sessions with them. Number 4, put yourself in other people's shoes. I think it's very, very important. Whenever we work with others, we're inevitably going to run into disagreements. We all have different life experiences that lead to different perspectives, that leads to different opinions. Now, one way that we can win an argument with another developer, one way we can win disagreements is to argue our side so aggressively that everyone else backs down. But that's also going to be a really good way to lose respect too. It's going to be a good way to lose friends and lose acquaintances. A healthier alternative is to try to see things from their perspective. Now, you can't do this unless there's some humility. You've got to try to put yourself in other people's shoes. But a good question to get the full picture, this often leads to dissolving arguments, is you might want to think, well, where are they coming from in saying this? What's their agenda in giving me this feedback? Why are they so, so much about this particular way of doing things? And I just don't see the benefit of that, but why are they like that? Try to understand who it is that you're working with. Is this somebody who needs a morale boost? Is this somebody who has great ideas and he just seems to be undervalued and underappreciated? Try to put yourself in somebody's shoes.
Strictly speaking from a student perspective, how do we force all of our people to actually use English? Because half of my professors do not.
Sometimes
It's really frustrating, and they say, "Well, I can't do weighted grades."
This is especially important.
But I can't get my
better
information in
that.
that.
Communication is pretty broad spectrum. I deal mostly with clients. I deal a lot with managers. I deal with people anywhere from GMs to CTOs to CEOs. Those guys, again, they don't care how I design the database. They don't care whether I'm using C# or VB.NET. They don't care about things like that. What they want to know is the dollars and cents.
Do you want me to paper
is this valuable?
classrooms with
Is
your
this something
pamphlets about
worth
this training
spending
so
on?
that the teachers will see
How
it?
much return am I going to get on
I
this?
mean,
So
because
try to put
I'm
yourself
serious.
in
I
their
sit in classrooms and I'm like, you guys are doing this wrong.
How will I want to be sold on this idea that I'm about to take? And what would it take to get me to realize that the end is going to justify the means, the man hours and the material. As I mentioned earlier, resist the urge to
I need to start doing that. Like, I need your card to hand out and be like, no, seriously, you go see these guys.
May not necessarily care about. Now, some will, but resist the urge to do that. Try to figure out how to put things in terms of dollars and cents. Required labor, man hours, material, and your manager, and you can present things to him in a more practical way.
At this point, every
He'll appreciate
student
a lot
should
more
have
what
for at least
you bring
one
to the
class.
table. He's probably going to be sold on that a lot better as well. So, that's all I had. I got is that the 5 minute before the question period or 5 minutes
Students
before
want,
done completely?
if they were to reach out.
Completely
to the class,
done,
like, hey,
5
you
minutes.
guys
What do y'all
can't
got? I mean, give me some things that I can use.
And the other one would be like, not necessarily Canvas, but anything else that does the same thing.
Well, I assume the other one's probably not even going to class anyway.
One of the big complaints we got from students.
No. Sorry, okay, sorry, I'm a little limited, apparently, in my knowledge and experience in that department.
We're here, IT folks pointing our way,
We people.
students are trying
We have 5 minutes.
come in and say, students are telling me I need to use Canvas, so I guess I'm here to learn it.
Your point number 5 is very valid.
Sort of following that, we've been having an issue lately with a lot of people insisting on using Skype, not Skype for business, just personal Skype instead of Zoom. Despite all, I mean, you guys know me, like I'm always trying to explain how great Zoom is, try to help people, but what do you think, like, what's your go-to to tell people stop using Skype? What are good, like, elevator pitches are good, quick, like this is why Zoom.
Developers sometimes have a hard time thinking in those terms, which is why we need an interface.
I'm sure it is. And sometimes they'll argue that the people they're Skyping with, the end user is a Skype. It wouldn't be, which I know you've covered, and I know how easy it is.
Run across a few resources that have kind of helped you kind
Paul and I were talking.
of break out of that shell to
Doing with Skype, you don't have to have an account.
additional thought.
So if you want to bring a business dollar or some kind of,
Ambition, putting food on the table. I mean, I don't think we need to sell ourselves short. We're human beings. We can do anything that we put our minds to. I never read any book or anything like that. I just want to do a good job. I want to get people a quality, robust products. I want to, build a good reputation for myself. And it requires me getting out of the box and learning how to talk to people and get on their page. That's what I'm going to do. You don't have to be an introvert in every single environment. I'm going to go home. I'm going to punch code for about 4 or 5 hours by myself and be great at being an introvert as soon as I get ready done with this. But I'm not going to do that right now because what we're doing is we're talking, we're collaborating, and trying to come up with good solid
We
solutions.
use that. I think it's.
Don't sell yourself short as a human being. We can be whatever we really desire.
It's hard to sway.
we have a rule in my house with my daughter.
What are your thoughts on separating out the programmer role and the business analyst role? It sounds like you're doing both of those as a programmer. You're being a business analyst and a programmer.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on if those are separate or how you can?
You can let them know that school.
Yeah,
has
it
finished
depends on your
the year.
business and who you have. I mean,
I shame them?
I mean,
my boss, my employee is pretty much myself now. Obviously, if I'm able to.
Zach is single-handedly moved quite a few people to foreign languages, even with the language barrier sometimes to.
So I think it just depends on
Kicking and screaming in some cases.
Depends
But
on.
they like it.
They like
They like it.
Strategy, all that.
That's the thing that I always try to bring up too, is that everyone I've converted from Skype to Zoom, rarely have people come back saying they've had issues with Zoom. It's almost never hear from them. We always say no news is good news, so it means they like.
My thought on that, Chuck, is you can be just a developer and an introvert, and you can punch out, you can display your ninja coding skills, and people can be impressed by what you write. And if you don't want to develop your communication skills, you're going to have a job, you're going to make money. But my suggestion is if you want to be really, really successful, learn how to be a good communicator. It's going to open so many doors for you. That's what I really want you to hear. You don't necessarily have to do it to have success, but if you want to be successful, be a better communicator, for sure.
Probably out of time with that. Thanks so much, Paul.
Thank you so much. Helpful.
We appreciate all of you participating.
Thank you, Ryan. Thanks to all of our speakers throughout the day. Thank you all for coming. Just a very true from my perspective. I love you guys all three. If you do or if not, we'd love to hear your feedback. The URL is aub.ie/techtalks feedback. which is a mouthful. But it's printed at the bottom of this page, and you will notebook that everybody should have gotten in their welcome packet. So if you want to go there and read the feedback, you should. Other than that, thanks for coming. You guys have a great rest of your day.
I don't know if you noticed, I was trying to be really good. I was trying to get the soft parts.
You're doing very well.
I was doing my best.
I appreciate that. You guys have fun. Oh, we're all taking it. Yeah. Thanks for having me.